Okay then guys, I'm just going to show you how to do a weathering job. I see people online, they do what I call scratch jobs because they get into all of the nooks and crannies, and that's not what you want to do. I'm just going to show you really quick. We've got some Scotch-Brite type sand sponge, I guess you could call it. You get it from your hardware store. You don't want to focus on any of the recesses, nothing like that. Look, I'm just going to show you really quick here. You're not going to do this kind of thing. You're going to try and replicate years of scuff. Does that make sense? This is going to get this side of the rifle, the replica, is going to be against the magazines on the stomach or the chest, right? Look, so we're just scooting along. I don't know if you can see it in the camera there, but I am getting a silver line show up, so you can stop whenever you want. I don't know if you can see that, but you're just getting a little bit there. Here, where the rear sight is, a little bit more, because I remember the real steel's really being dinged up there and on the front sight as well. I'll show you over here, in fact, just on the kitchen side. So it's not a highly professional video. You know, I see people that they'll go underneath here. It won't be scratched there, trust me, it won't. They'll go in here. It won't really be, because we've got the mag release hood. You're going to just skate along the top of it. This is really where the weathering is going to take place. You don't want to push your finger into it or anything like that. And I'm just going to speed the process up just for the video. Please don't do this. This is not what you do. It's just later on I can clean it up a little bit. So you see I'm getting on those edges. Edges are where the weathering is going to happen. That's really where it's going to happen. And you just keep scuffing along that. Yeah, does that make sense? There you go, look, it's starting to come up. And now this doesn't look scratched, this looks what I call hard boiled. I don't want to put too much weathering on this, I don't want to overdo this. Then what you can do is use some wash, you know, I think it's called Citadel, you know, the stuff for a Warhammer. And you can put a brown wash on it thereafter, and it'll bring down that shininess of the silver underneath, or the metal underneath. A really good place is, if this will flip over, will always be the Magwell. This is going to take a lot of punishment throughout the years. So it's the same thing again. We're just scuffing along the edge. I don't want to get in here. I don't want to get in here. Here, nothing. I'm not circling, because weathering doesn't happen in circles, does it? It'll be boom, like that, boom, off the side of a magazine. Yep. And you'll see, if you do that and you scoot along it, only the natural edges will actually start to weather. So it kind of does it itself, as long as you stick with the angle. As you can see, that started to come up really nicely there. Like Bob Ross. It started to come up really nicely there. And I remember the real steel, the Magwells were just annihilated with weathering. I know it sounds really weird, but you don't want it to look like you've done it. You certainly don't want that, you know. Here a bit less so, because we've got a recess. Anywhere where there's a recess, you're not going to have weathering. You'd have to actually get in there with something to weather that. Does that make sense? Here on the edges you might do. You can see on the fire select I've put a bit there. This sharp edge you will have. So we're just going to turn this replica down. Yep. I'm going to go this way. Now you won't be able to see it forming, but you can kind of feel when it's taking it away. Does that make sense? So I'll just try and do this really speedy for you. And look at that mag release, that looks excellent. Same thing here as well. If you go to the fire select, and we've got the bolt release here, there's never going to be any weathering in the recesses, guys. You're just going to scuff along. I want to get a bit of it here. Yep. See, I'm scuffing along. I can already see it happening. Scuffing along, and then you can decide yourself when it's time to stop. I think anything more than that is going to be too much. That looks great, doesn't it? You know, so it's going to be anything like that. If we look at the mag release hood, I want just a little bit more here. I would advise you don't do this. I'm just doing it this way to speed up the process for you, the video. I'm making sure I'm not touching the receiver as it goes through. Yep. It's always this kind of thing that I do. Any sharp edges are going to naturally be caught by the sand sponge, And there you go, look how legit that looks. I always remembered anything, of course, the safety. Don't know if you can get in there. Look how easily that comes up. Yep, you see that coming up? I'd leave it there. Now I have scuffed here a little bit, that's okay, because a little bit of saliva is going to take that away as long as you don't go too deep with it. You don't want scratches to appear. If you just move back a little bit, please. I always remember the pins and the bolts. They were always so weathered up because obviously the armour has taken them apart multiple times. See, I'm just doing a little scuff there. Don't scratch, don't do this. I've seen replicas and it's like, they've got scratches all along. This is not going to be a real place of weathering here. From what I remember, if you've got your car keys, a lot of keys on, just dangle along it and smash your keys onto it, because that's going to be a lot more of a natural thing as the replica or the real steel was on the chest. On the stomach, that's where the magazines are going to be. So yeah, we'll go on this edge again. All the Magwell is going to be damaged up. Going to get around there in a sec. I'm just doing it this way so that all these debris, the debris doesn't fall into the replica. That would be bad. Yep, we've got this takedown pin. Let's scuff over that. See how this recess of the mag release, it really wouldn't, any high points, that's what's going to be hit. Let me have a look at the, tell you what, I'll show you the front sight, because that's really a point where you're going to get a lot of dings. Yeah, so you see, if I got in here, that's not a natural place, so I'm just going to scoot along the face of it, and it's only the high points that are actually going to be hit at that point. Now, of course, with this being a adjuster, you can honestly get in there and scuff that a little bit, because that's going to have a lot of contact, a lot of human contact. Does that make sense? Obviously, the salt and the shit from the human hand is gonna take off the finish over a certain amount of time. But you see, it didn't get in here. It naturally wanted those high points, and that's how it's going to look really natural for you. Let's have a look at the carry handle here. So yeah, I've got a obviously the adjustment dial here. I'm just going to scuff along. Do not go inside. That's not realistic at all. I'm just scuffing along. There you go. Start to see it come up. I think the hardest part with this process is knowing when to stop, knowing when enough is enough. So the whole effect about this one that I'm going for is well used, but well maintained. Does that make sense? It's going to have some natural weathering. All of those pins need doing. I'm going to do a lot more. I'm going to get on here and everything. Obviously Magwell, always Magwell. Of course I'm going to do a lot more, but I just wanted to scoot through this video and show you a few of the techniques that I do, especially sling points as well. Some of the techniques that I do to make it look ultra realistic. Does that make sense? You're not really going to get anything here. So the carry handle, you're not going to get anything on the inside. You're certainly not going to get anything down there. But these high points, they're going to ding absolutely everything. Basically, if you close your eyes and run your hand over the replica, if there's any high points that you contact, that's really where the weathering is going to be. We go to that edge again, put a little bit more on that. Also, if you get a Susat, they look amazing weathered. There you go, as it starts to come up. Now, I don't want too much on this, but I want it to show up on the camera. Like I said earlier, I can kind of bring the effect down with washes later on. Let's have a look at that. There you go. So we're seeing some silvering there right on the edge. And that's really the whole thing. That's really the whole MO of it. Okay, let's have a look at this side of the Magwell. I'm going to do it this way just because I don't want that debris in my my replica. So I'm just going to look. I'm not doing this. I'm scooting along those sharp edges. That makes sense. So we're going to see this. I'll speed it up for you. Like I said, don't do circles. No one weathers anything in circles, do they? So here we go. You can see it. I don't know if you can see that edge there. Now you can do this a lot more methodical than I'm doing it. Of course you can. But the idea is you kind of don't think about it because, you know, weathering really doesn't have a mind in that way. It just happens, doesn't it? It's a byproduct of use. Okay, see that? You can see a little bit of silver in there as I move the paint. Yeah, a little bit there. So that's it really. That's the long and short of it. And I'm being purposely rough with this on the side so to get some of that natural, but here's the best point. Here's the best point to show you. Only the high point. So you're going to be really tempted to get in there and everything and think, well, what about the sweat of the thumb and everything like that? Not really. What I would advise if you want to do that is use a lower grip, a softer sponge, and just gently get in there. Maybe getting some acetone with your thumb, just rubbing it just till you get a little bit off, but it's not going to be hard weathering there. It's a high point. If I come across here like this, I know it's only going to catch that lip there. If I came across like this, I can already feel the point that it's touching is just that. It is not touching the receiver. You can see it there. Yep. I also want this as a high point. There you go. So that's really it. That's the long and short of it. It's that the art form of it is, if you can call it that, it's thought without looking like it's been thought about. Does that make sense? You want it to look as natural as possible.